Institute is to mobilize faith, belief and spirituality as resources for transformation of the world that we've contributed to creating. And so that comes from the origins of the Institute 50 years ago as a Christian foundation committed to working with people of all faiths and none in order to explore the underlying connectedness of all human beings and creation as a resource for dealing with fragmentation and disintegration that is so present in the world that we have created. What is unique about the Grub Institute is that it's the only organisation that is actively exploring what are the resources of the dimensions of faith, belief and spirituality within organisational life. Now, this is partly to do with the origin of the Institute, and it is incredibly exciting to see how many other organisations are now exploring similar themes as we try to work on our understanding of what benefits the life-giving purpose of human life on this planet. Well, you see, the assumption is that faith or belief necessarily means a belief in some kind of deity, whereas in reality we all exist with a range of faiths and beliefs. I mean, sitting in this building at the moment means that we have a faith in the architect that he was qualified and could design a building that wouldn't fall down. So actually, when one's talking about faith and belief, one is not just talking about something that is linked to a religious concept, but rather that we are dealing with the realities of everyday human interaction with one's environment. So the integration of faith and belief is to suggest that there is more to life than appears on the surface, that there are more levels and layers of experience that are able to be explored, and that our function as an evolving species is increasingly our capacity to retrieve and develop the fullest of our human capacities for understanding who we are, why we exist, and what our purpose is as we engage with each other in our organizations and in our global context. The framework that is used by the Grub Institute has evolved out of our 50 years of research into organizations, and here we're really trying to understand how to bring together the experience of what it is to be a human being, a person with a range of desires, in the context of a world with abundant resources in organizational systems that work to a particular purpose. And that in taking up our roles in the different systems that we work in, we have some choices about what of our capacity we are going to mobilize in any particular role. So for instance, if one wakes up next to one's partner in the morning as the chief executive of an organization, it's probably likely that one's going to have a huge fight with one's partner. If, however, one is working, if one wakes up in the role of a partner or a husband, then the potential for that system to be more successful is there. So the basic issue is, how do we make choices freely about what of our capacity we're going to engage with at any one moment. Our capacity to choose and to be accountable for those choices gives us the opportunity to explore and inquire into what is inhibiting us from achieving what we want to achieve. And how do we understand those things that are getting in the way of our achieving our purpose as potential resources for being more purposeful in our engagements. Conference of the Grub Institute, Being, Meaning, Engaging, the lived experience of resistance and transformation in organizations, is quite a difficult thing to describe. Essentially, what we do is that we create an organizational structure that has a short life, a life that exists for 8 days. We have an aim for the conference, and we have a task, and we have the participants, staff members, and participant members. As that conference opens, we don't know what is going to happen. Everything that does happen is created collectively by those people that are present. And our challenge is how to understand what is happening while we go through it. Now, this is where the aim becomes very important, because the aim of the Being, Meaning, Engaging conference is to develop a spirit of inquiry into the lived experience of organizational life in order to promote transformation in our globalized world. Now, I want to focus firstly on the spirit of inquiry. This is really about an orientation to life and an orientation to working in the temporary institution. Can we be curious? Can we entertain the possibility that our immediate assumption about what something means is not necessarily the only way of explaining the phenomenon that we're seeing? Can we, in that inquiry, entertain that simultaneously there might be 5 or 6 meanings of what is going on, and that the capacity to work with the complexity of the multiple meanings offers the opportunity that some core truths may emerge. Truths about what it is to be human. Truths about what it is to be human beings of different genders, different ages, different nationalities, different colours, etc., etc. The second part of the aim that I want to explore is lived experience. You know, a lot of the time people exist, they don't live. A lot of the time we ignore the experience that we have as a resource for understanding the experience that we're having. So one of the fundamental principles within the conference is our capacity to work in real time, or what in the tradition of group relations and institutional transformation would be known as working in the here and now. Now, we can add some urgency to this by switching the words here and now around. How do I, as a human being, develop the capacity to be present right now, right here? Now, it's interesting that when you put the words now and here together as one word, what you get is nowhere. And in a sense, this is the message. Lived experience is about being present. It's about being able to attend to that which is emerging in the present experience. And it's the capacity then to use that information and that data as a way of understanding the complexity of the world that we're in. Now, the question of transformation is also central to this aim, and it is often a word that many people would see as being overused, and I think it's probably one of the most misunderstood words currently being used in leadership development and management training. Because essentially, life is transformation. We are constantly in the process of transforming ourselves. Our skins transform themselves at least once a day. So what we're talking about is the normal, natural process of what it is to be a living being, but actually taking some responsibility for mobilizing our choices about how that is manifest. And the objective of transformation is to develop deeper layers of understanding that inform our capacity to live to our fullest potential